Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages,
Good evening. It is Sunday, the 2nd of August. It's 8 o'clock and it means it's time for another episode of MOCKDOWN. What is this? Episode 7? Something like that anyway. I've got two great guests in store for you this evening. Two actors who also have that musical side to them as well. And as my team of researchers here at McClellan Media have worked on this show, I found out so much. It's like having royalty on the show this evening. Let's not faff about. Let's have a look at who I've got on. So first up this evening, my first guest, Jonathan Kydd. Now, Jonathan, I've asked him to send me blurbs, so here we go. He's an actor, but he also does voice stuff and makes films and videos and writes songs, which he then performs. He's written through musicals and a variety of hour-long shows featuring comedy bands, which he's in, and a number of video blogs, mostly about football. Also does cartoons. He was a dinosaur in Toy Story that time forgot. All the voices in Bangers and Mash and in Mr. Bean and Noddy and Dennis the Menace and Hilltop Hospital, etc. He's made 2 comedy short films and a lot of videos and does those podcasts about football as well. Also, his father, great British actor Sam Kydd, made over 280 films and thousands of tellies from 1946 to his death in 1982. Sam played Cockneys and Irishmen despite being quite posh, having gone to Dunstable Grammar. Jonathan found an unpublished autobiography of his dad's career from 1946 to 1970 in his mum's loft, and he's editing that. It's almost finished. He's also going to make a documentary about his dad's career. He's got all the home videos, 300 stills, a mass of letters and scripts and diaries, as well as the book. And here he is, Jonathan Kydd. Hello, sir.
How lovely to be on the show. Thank you. I love the still you had of me. It's about 25 years old, I think.
Well, there we go. Yeah, in your youth. There we go.
Much more hair, I think. And,
yes.
Possibly less jowly, but thank you.
Have you got sellotape holding the jowls up?
Of course,
you can tuck it around the back of the head.
I'm stapled at the back.
Yes. If they give way, good Lord.
Dog clip at the back here.
Yes. Who knows what would happen?
Oh, it'll all fall out. What'll happen? Everything. Oh.
I know. Right, let's bring in my second guest. And my second guest is Andy Whitaker. Andy started out as a musician in The Sun and the Moon. So that's a very hot place and a very cold place. With the Chameleons frontman, Mark Burgess, and Chameleons drummer, John Lever. Went into acting at the age of 35 in the 1990s. Telling himself that it was a less age-prejudiced profession. After all, they always want granddads in films and TV shows. He did the rounds in rep and theatre and education, got his first telly part as an amnesiac who thinks that he's Kevin Keegan in the BBC The Cops in 1998. He was a series regular in Dream Team for Sky One. Played a red herring in The Bill and the role of Sean Wakefield in Coronation Street under director Alan Waring. And that led to his current role as PC Mike Swirling under Alan Waring's direction. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Whitaker. Hello, Andy. How are you?
It's just me.
We've got to say, you go by Andy Moore as an actor, don't you? So all those Emmerdale fans going, Andy Whitaker, who's he?
I love confusing them. I'm confused myself. But when I joined Equity back in the 90s, Andy Whitaker had been taken. And as you all know, you guys, it's not a posy thing. It's a professional name protection thing. They simply don't want to Reynolds, do they?
Exactly.
There was an actor called John Kydd, who my father had a problem with. My father was initially called John Kydd as well. And would you believe, and he was being sent his contracts and auditions. And And then 30 years later, I had exactly the same problem. To my bemusement, my voice agent phoned me and said, "I hear you've had a stroke. Are you okay?" And I said, "There's nothing. I'm in the middle of a session. I'm voicing, but we've been told you've had a stroke. Have you gone to hospital?" "No, I'm all right. There's nothing wrong with me." And it turned out it was the same man haunting both father and son 30 years in between the two. So
good Lord. I don't know if you know an
my IMDb is it DB or BD? IMDb movie. No, yeah, is as amalgamated with another Andy Moore in Ireland, apparently. You know, it's interesting that, isn't it? But I don't mind too much because it means that I've been in Game of Thrones. Because there it is, on IMDb. I've been in Game of Thrones. Apparently, the other Andy Moore.
Embrace it.
I was going to ask you about Game of Thrones. You haven't been in Game of Thrones.
No.
Oh,
Cheers.
Good Lord. Well, that's the night gone now. It's all downhill from here. Yeah, there's an actor in the Manchester area, Andy Abraham. I don't know if you know him. Lovely chap. But on Britain's Got Talent, there was an Andy Abrahams who was a singer. And they keep trying to buy him off. You know, "Can we have your equity name, please?" And he has to keep saying no. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. I was thinking of Dudley Moore at the time. I'm a Peter Cook and Dudley Moore fan. And I tried Andy Cook, but that was took. And then I tried Andy Moore, and that was okay.
Well, I realised, Andy, that I didn't bring in your photograph when I was talking about you.
Oh,
there we go. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. There you go.
Have you photoshopped that, Dave?
I'm sorry?
Did you Photoshop that? Did you Photoshop that?
No, nothing. It doesn't look at all airbrushed. No, it's hunky dory. And another actor who, on the name side, yes, cheers.
You're not going to ask me about my tea bag.
Yeah, what is that? Does it filter the tannins?
I'm drinking gin with Echinacea and elderberry tea in it, and apparently the flu virus can't live in, is it Echinacea or Echinacea? It can't live in it, or it can't live in elderberries. And I'm sort of hoping the COVID virus also can't live in this tea. But it's gin as well. It works as a mixer.
I've got peppermint tea and rice milk. Do you think that has any
I don't know
properties as regards
before Donald Trump starts Donald Trump's going to be going, echinacea, everybody wants echinacea, peppermint tea. Oh, there's going to be so many people die after watching this. Good Lord.
I'm as bad as Trump, honestly.
Yeah, I know.
Got more
anyway, let's continue with this. I'm going to delve into each of your backgrounds a little more here. So first of all, we're going to go with you, Jonathan. This was the first time we worked together. I had actually met you. You'd done Likely Dads for Made in Manchester, and that was for Radio 4 production, wasn't it? And
it was.
I was at that.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we actually got to work together in studio doing a piece about not John Christie. I mean, I played John Christie, but it was about what's his name?
Timothy Evans.
Yes, that was it. Yeah,
that was great. It's a fantastic picture. I love it. I really love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it shows the enthusiasm in the studio.
It was great enthusiasm. Yeah, it was really good fun. I went up to Manchester for the day to play, and I ended up playing. It was a bizarre thing. I was supposed to be playing one barrister, and they came up to me and said at the beginning, the other barrister hasn't turned up. Could you play the other one as well? And I went, oh. Okay, then. So we're faced with the prospect of me going, I made one of them terribly like that, because it was set in the 50s. So I thought I'd get away with my slightly 50s comedy voice. I made one of them like that and thought, oh, what'll I do with the other one? So I made him a little bit up there, a bit like that. You know? And I kept honestly thinking somebody would halfway come through and say, I'm terribly sorry, Jonathan, it's not working. But nobody said that. So
well, I was playing.
Did you have to learn those lines on the spot? Did you have to learn those lines?
No, it was a radio. It was a radio show. Radio. So which is
that's right.
Yeah, but I was playing John Christie, but they also asked me to play a Welsh constable from the valleys, look you.
I remember. Yeah.
So that was fun.
It was a bit of acting by the seat of your pants, but it was it was a lovely lot of people there and very good fun. So
yes, it was.
It was great.
You have many arrows.
Strings to my bow.
Indeed. Look at this. The Rudy Vees.
Thank you.
You've had a number of musical bands over the years.
I have.
The singing dentist seems to have fallen flat, though, because people thought you were dentists.
Indeed, they really did. Yeah, they did. And also some promoter came up and said, so what's the name of your band? I said, Singing Dentist. And we sing songs about dentistry for the first 5 numbers. And then people look at us slightly as if they're all very silly songs about dentistry. And then after about, and then I put all the other comedy songs in. And he just went, nah. Like that. What he said was that, nah. And walked off. And I thought, I'm not convinced.
Surgical masks.
Yeah, we're funny.
Surgical masks.
Yeah, we all had. That would have been perfect. When, funnily enough, I put a mask on for one of the songs, which I won't tell you about because it's quite rude. But we also wore plastic gloves. We wore deliberately one plastic glove, and the guitarist had a plastic glove in his because he couldn't play in the plastic glove in his lapel. So, but it was. I made an album. I actually made an album called Dentura Highway. And as you would, and
indeed,
and it's got things like Teeth of an Angel, one of the songs. When I look in your mouth, I want to put my tongue in. And, it's a comedy band, I have to say. But
thank goodness.
Thank goodness for that. Yeah, and in fact, you listen to the album now, and it's interesting. I made it about 8 years ago, and things have moved on. There's a lot of death in it, and particularly involving women, and I'm slightly embarrassed that nearly everybody. I'm always going. I've just got to open wide, please, open wide to the patient in the middle of the song, and she goes and I'm thinking, I don't think that's going to go down very well now. I think I may have just made a bit of an error, but it was different times. It suddenly in 8 years, the comedy just suddenly goes. Possibly Me Too might just get a little bit involved. So I've made
I wouldn't like to be a stand-up comedian now.
No. Hey, you have to be.
How's Frankie Boyle going on?
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, I know.
Indeed, he seems to have slightly taken a back seat, doesn't he? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But no. So we did that, and then I'd actually originally been in a comedy band. We did. Bizarrely, we ended up at the final of New Faces in 1988, called we were called the Brothers Kondo. And I did a song. It's once again. I did a song called "If It's Any Consolation, She Tasted Good" about cannibalism, and we got to the final. We won our heat by 28,000 votes, and in the final, we were actually told to be very careful because it was live, and if we did anything slightly outrageous, that they would have us. They'd stop they'd throw us off, hook us off, stop the recording, not the recording, stop the live broadcast. And looking back, we should actually have. We should have done it. We should have just. I should have sung something completely inappropriate because then we'd have made many more waves than we ever did, finishing third. And if we finished the guy who won it just sang a song from Les Mis, which was a little bit of a shame. There's me trying to write original material, but so there's been a kind of history of it. But now we've got a band called I've got a band called the Rudy Vees, who are rude, and I use some of the songs from the show that I've still kept. It slightly worries me. Two of the songs that go down the best I wrote 25 years ago. I don't think we've made any progress. Indeed, well done. And we do we got this a cappella app, which we do it live. And
this one, this is from a still from the song "Naked," and you're all naked apart from the guitar player. Can you not pay him enough, or what is it?
We forgot when we recorded it that he actually also said. He said, "No fucking way am I taking my shirt off." There were his very words.
His guitar rubs on his nipple ring is what it is.
I think it must be that. If only he had nipple rings.
Exactly.
I've never seen his tits, so I can't actually tell you what the situation is. He's actually very, very good indeed.
We've got a little snippet. Here we go. I'm going to play a snippet. Here we go.
If you see a sign says
say I didn't warn you. Don't say.
So what? It's a tiny, tiny fish. Why all the drama?
You dick, it's a piranha. Ooh, a piranha. Skin you to the bone in 30 seconds. Piranha, piranha. Ooh, piranha, piranha. Ow, ow, ow. Piranha, piranha. Ow, ow, ow. Piranha, piranha. Ow, ow, ow. Now don't.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. A little song I spent 5 minutes of my life making up.
There we go. Your female singers, are they twins? They're quite remarkable.
Lenny and Jenny. Yeah, sorry,
Yes.
Kenny and Jenny. Sorry.
Kenny and Jenny. Kenny and Jenny.
And occasionally Lenny when
you forget.
we want another singer. She
All
then
right.
puts the other wig on.
All right. Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, they're in fact she's better than me, so I made sure she's slightly higher in the mix.
We're going to go.
I did like that bass though.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you.
An old picture from your history here.
Oh my goodness me! Yeah, my mum was a table tennis international as well as being a copywriter. So every journalist or photographer was always trying to find an angle. So the angle was, oh yeah, let's get you with the bats. And bizarrely, my dad has got a copy of a book called Celtic Triumphant, which is about Glasgow Celtic winning the European Cup in 1967. I mean, how obscure is that? But he was a big football fan, my dad, as am I, and he'd been working in Glasgow during the period when they won the European Cup, and also he had lots of connections with Glasgow because he was from Belfast and his mother's family were all from Glasgow, so he sort of moved across from I mean he bizarrely had I'll speak about him briefly. He had was an actor. He played an enormous house in Chiswick. They'd all come over after the First World War, and all the relatives, all his mother's relatives, 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and but he made a career out of being Cockneys as well, because he'd been a prisoner of war for 5 years. In actual fact, he spoke like me. But it was a bizarre situation of this man who really wasn't either of the 2 things he made an enormous success of, because between 1946 and 1952 he made 116 films, because that's all he did, because telly had hardly been invented. A bit of radio I think he did, but there was a British film industry, and he was good at his lines. He did it very quickly, which is what you wanted. Unbelievably affable, very funny guy. Was in doing comedy and straight stuff, so it wasn't a surprise that his career took off. And then there was a period when he just became a completely, I mean, he was mobbed in the street. We used to go out and there was a whole series. You imagine only 2 TV channels. He's in something that's on 1963, a series called Crane was on. They did 39 episodes. He's got one of the leads in that. I used to go to football with him, and it would be hundreds of people just following him to his seat. He'd let me go. I used to go and stand around the other side, but I just observe while this man was just morass of people. He was a huge star. But
I remember he was in everything.
He was in his.
I grew up with him.
Workload was phenomenal. I just get there. He is. Yeah. Once again, another bizarre staged pick with somebody's got what if they got hold of it and called it photo pick. In fact, I've got the original and that isn't written on it. I don't know where that's from.
Right.
Yeah, that was me with the bike they bought me, with me looking slightly jaded in my pajamas, as you can see, and not really keen on the photograph, thinking, actually, what on earth am I doing in our hallway with my bike, which normally goes outside in the garden, and my dad giving me advice of some kind, a completely staged pick, as you'd expect. But yeah, it was that I was wheeled out as being, son of in that period of my life. But I made a film with him in 1963. No, it's 1960, by the team that did the Carry-Ons, Peter Rogers and Gerald Thomas. And I had the line. I can't remember. Can't remember any lines of anything I've been in subsequently. I remember this one when I was 6. "Hello, Dad, Mum's after you." I don't know why I've remembered that. But anyway, that was the line I had. And then he was playing a mechanic driving the traction engine, and he fell over the one skate that I'd left, because I'd left a skate. I was only on one, and broke his leg, and therefore couldn't drive the traction engine in the competition. So Anne Helm, who was the love interest, drove it with Michael Craig, and they won the competition, and they got together. Hooray!
They don't make films like that anymore.
Films like that, but it's on. Weirdly enough, all his films are on Talking Pictures at the moment. That channel. And oh, Pipkins! Oh, wow!
And that's you.
That's me. God, bloody hell! Yeah, I found myself stumbling into. I was doing panto at Watford, and somebody came and I was playing Simple Simon, and and somebody came along, as you do. Where's my pie? That kind of thing. And somebody came along and said, with the director, we'd like to. We'll be very interested if you come along and an audition for this puppet program. And I did. I got the gig, and I remember for some strange reason weeing a lot at the audition. Him saying, "We thought you had a bladder problem." I don't know why that stayed with me, but and I got the job. And I remember the very first day I did it, the casting director came down to me and she said, "You're very subdued, aren't you?" She said, "You seem to speak to these puppets," because they were all puppets on people's arms, "as if they're real people." And I said, "Well, that's what I'm doing, isn't it? It's what I do. I'm not going to go, 'Hello, puppet. Hello, Tom. Hello.'" I said, "It's not like that, this show, is it? Have I got it wrong?" And I got told off. So, but I didn't change my view, which was, they were just, each puppet represented you got Topov, who was a little bit naive. You got Tortoise, who was looked after the till. He had a great line, which was, "Oh, wow, I've got a case of the spooky dillos," he used to say. And so I'd speak to them as if they were normal people. And apparently this has gone down quite well, because there's a Pipkins page on Facebook. I mean, we are talking about something 40 years ago, which people say to me, "We loved the way you talk to the puppets." So I felt rather vindicated. You treated
exactly
as if they were real people,
Well,
so,
that's I mean, kids talk to their toys like they're real people.
Completely, absolutely. I don't know why I had to do. I was replaced by somebody who, hello, children. Wow, this is great. And I thought, well, God, bloody hell, I'm not like that. So but no, I got sacked. Because I rowed with the director. And I just didn't get on with him. I just didn't. He similarly kept saying, "Could you be a little bit more enthusiastic about things?" I said, "Well, I'm enthusiastic, but each one of your episodes has got some kind of pedagogic view of how we should all be relating to each other. They're about sharing. They're about not being angry, but about being about caring for people. Each one has a little separate idea going with it. I'm not. Do you want me to be like that in the middle of this? No. I'm going to be real with it. Forgive me for being real in this instance."
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, it's probably the only time in my career I've ever been real, because the rest of the time people have just said to me, "Oh, you're just completely over the top, aren't you? Can you be real?" So it's how these things have sort of evolved,
Oh, Lord. Andy, we're going to move over to a bit more about you now.
Andy, sorry, I've hogged.
Oh, no. Andy, I have to congratulate you. I have to congratulate you, Andy, on your BAFTA win. Your BAFTA win.
Oh, yeah. All me.
It's gone on.
Yes, I'm very proud of them.
It's gone on to.
Yeah, I didn't win a BAFTA for that.
No. I've got to go back to where I was. There we go. That's what you won the BAFTA for. Emmerdale won. Well done. That must have been great news.
Yeah, I'm proud of them.
I've been involved in Emmerdale in a much smaller way than you, but I always feel it's my contribution has helped in that overall series arc. I've got a few messages to share for
all the screws and pins.
Exactly. Here we go. We've got a couple of messages. We've got a hello from Sweden from Maria Hedden Johnson. Anybody know Maria?
Maria, bless you.
I think she's a Pipkins fan. Or is she an Andy fan? Andy, hello from all the members.
She looks a bit like a Pipkins fan.
We've got Andy, hello from all the members at Emmerdale Past and Present fan site. How about that?
Hello. Yeah, cool.
And I've got a question for you, Andy, here. Steve Marshall. Question for Andy. What is the biggest thing you've missed about Emmerdale through these COVID times? And what's your best scene from Emmerdale and why? Very specific there, Steve. What do you think?
Well, the sort of missing is over because, you know, I've been back at work now, all done really safely. You know, we have a cohort who comes on set and sticks a 2-meter stick between us. As after we've blocked it, we'll block it, and then does the 2-meter stick fit in between us? And if it does, we shoot it. So I was shooting 3 weeks to 4 weeks ago, and I'm there this Wednesday. I did miss it, of course. Yeah, it was during the lockdown. It wasn't quite the same. And I'm sure Jonathan may have been able to carry on working with his voiceover work, but it's not the same not making that journey, going somewhere and earning and ending up at a studio and working with fellow humans. Because everything as it was over lockdown was working from home. You know, there was a lot of working from home.
Is I've been forced to become an engineer. I have to use the software here to make it to do a voiceover. I've had to learn Logic Pro. I've had to be, and I actually am not as good at the voice because I like acting. I like going into a studio, playing a character or reading something and not concentrating. All I do is concentrate on the script and the microphone. And to actually suddenly have a situation where you're having to think, have I pressed record? Have I muted that? Am I too hot? Is it what's happening here? Is it recorded well? And I'm then become a perfectionist, and I play it back afterwards and think, oh, I didn't pronounce that well enough, and I then do it again, and it takes me an eternity to do.
It's a different animal. It's a totally different animal.
Completely.
Yeah. It's a totally different animal, isn't it? Because obviously I get told time and again, oh, you should be getting it through that back door of voice. You've got a lovely voice, so you know you've got a good voice for it. But you know what? I don't think I'm particularly that good at it. I think I'm a bit bronco, a bit too breathy. You know, and you focus on that when you do a voiceover. You think, can you even breathe
in your own head?
You don't even think about it.
Absolutely right. I think, and also if you're away in a studio, you've got a producer making a decision. They're there. And they go, that was a good read. I like that one. When you're your own person in front of it doing it, I freak out. I keep thinking, surely I could do that better. God, my voice, I'm sounding a bit old. Do I pronounce it like that? Really? What's that? What? It's just, I agree completely. You need the, not even the approval of others. You just need to have people around who are designated roles. And your role is actor getting on with something. Suddenly you're having to wear a different hat. Absolutely bizarre.
But you know, every actor I know in Sheffield has now got a recording studio in their spare room. Everybody has one now.
Well, unfortunately, it's diluted the whole world of voiceovers, because there was even an article in the Daily Mail a few weeks ago saying, not that I get the mail, a few weeks ago that was saying what to do in lockdown. Why not become a voiceover? Read some audiobooks, and you go, members of the public are doing this, and every agent is now saying to their artists, buy the kit. You can get a microphone for 30 quid. You can plug it use GarageBand, plug it into your computer, send the waveform off. You're a voiceover. But guess what's happening? They're all doing it for 20 quid.
Yeah.
It completely undercut everybody. So the whole world is swamped and everybody's undercut. And in fact, my agent the other day said, I'm trying to find something else to do. He said, I think this is the end of my career, because it's the work has just gone. I mean, there are certain areas that I maintain through doing voices, because it's like I'm just doing a documentary at the moment, which is something that I've been doing I've done for about 20 years. And to maintain 2 hours concentration with something and tell the story and hit words and fit them in between, and you say you've got 20 seconds to fit something in, and it's quite complicated, and some of it's foreign pronunciations, is something that I've learned over the years to do. So there is an area of expertise as an actor that I can lean back on. But everybody is now having a go, and I have to say, good luck to everybody having a go. This is it should not be exclusive, and it's not exclusive. And Andy, to an extent, I think you shouldn't care about your voice. You should have a go, because you never know. You might get a decent campaign, or you might get somebody who says he's the voice for me. You know, this is what this is about for me. This whole lockdown thing is have a go at something. It might not lead anywhere, and there might be thousands of other people, but there are. It's just that one moment, you know, where something hits, you know.
And your voice catches. I mean, Sean Bean, you hear him all the time.
Yeah.
You know, on everything, Sean Bean is
when he's doing all those O2 stuff, because he's
that
with them. So you know, but you only get one
voiceover. But I think COVID has had all actors reaching for the gear now. You know, investing in recording equipment, and in fact, continuing an answer to what you were doing in lockdown. I actually suggested in the main in March, April, to Jane Hudson, the producer at Emmerdale, why don't we phone our parts in? Lots of actors have got recording gear. Flash up a dent of Emmerdale, and let's record, make it into a radio show. And they thought it was a good idea, but lockdown was just easy enough, sort of thing. In fact, I suggested that before Peter Kay did it, didn't he, with Car Share? But that's just characters, just an ident. And it was a radio show on the ITV or whatever. What channel was it on? Car Share. ITV. Oh, there's me.
There's you, Andy. I love this scene that you had. I thought it was very nice, and I think what I like about your character, Mike Swirling, he seems like an honest cop. He seems like a really nice guy. You know, he'll do the business, but he seems like a genuine guy. And somebody said, here we go. We've got a comment from Lynn Horridge. Hello, Andy. Why have you not arrested Malone yet? I don't think you're working with Malone. That's my hope.
Hey, he was the best man at my wedding.
Oh, if we've got pictures of that, we can get a whole conspiracy theory.
Is there something I don't know about him?
I can't tell you. But the
thing about that, Dave, what you just flashing up there, where Swirling is coming to have a word with Arthur. That's an actor playing an actor. That's a copper acting in a way, because he's come to scare the pants off Arthur. He's not really. You can't just get hold of a youngster and lock them up, but he's trying to make Arthur think that. So he's doing it for Laurel. Laurel and Swirling have had a talk, and her son's gone all wayward. Can you come in and scare him? You know.
Yeah.
So that was the beauty of.
I thought it was very good. We saw a little bit of this earlier. Barry Glitter. This was a short film you did that I absolutely loved, and it was a Gary Glitter impersonator whose career falls apart when Gary Glitter faces criminal charges. It's a great film, Andy.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you know what? It was interesting, you know, and this is what we do. We step up to the bar as actors, but I have no connection with Gary Glitter. When I was at school, he was all over the place, and I hated the buzzy sort of fuzzy guitars that weren't distorted guitars like a rock band. It was like, and I didn't like. I thought this one. I'm not sure about this dude.
My guitarist played in the band. My guitarist played the guitar in the Glitter band.
Oh,
in my band. Just to say, sorry to interrupt you.
Did he?
The fuzzy guitar. Yeah. Cliff Charles. He was in it. He likes to hide that aspect of his career.
Does he? Yeah. I must. It's Mike Leander, wasn't it, that produced it, or was he in the band as well? But I always thought, and I suppose it was an idea, but this fuzzy guitar, and I thought, you know, it wasn't my thing, you know. It was a bit too one foot in old rock and roll as well, and where I like to be a bit more colourful and psychedelic. So to get asked to sort of portray him, I would have been more in my comfort zone, playing Rick Butler out of the Psychedelic Furs or something like that, you know. But that's what acting is, isn't it? You know, we do something that isn't us, you know.
Yeah. Well, this film, I went to try and have a look for it, and it was available on YouTube for a bit, but it's not there anymore. So hopefully it will become available to the general public again, because it is a good one. I really enjoyed it.
What's happened there is James Gardner, the director, has withdrawn it because he's developing or has plans to develop a full-length film based on the theme. So because it's a short, I think he was looking at doing a full-length feature. So he took it down. It's just recently got me an audition, actually, because the director saw it. Well, it is on my Spotlight. If you go on my Spotlight CV, you can see clips from Barry Glitter. And the director saw it for a comedy series, and I got through 4 recalls. Oh no, 4 recalls, and on the 4th recall, they went with another guy. But that was interesting and fun.
Yeah. Let's have another photo. Here we go. Look at you, looking all musical and serious.
yeah, I must have been doing one of my weird and wonderful cards there. That's what's going on there, I think.
But your musical history, I mean, you started as a musician and you did tons of stuff. And look, there you are outside Abbey Studios, Abbey Road Studios. What was that for?
Yeah. Got asked if we wanted to go down and record an EP, and we did it. The backing band, we did it in one day, sort of thing, and 3 tracks. A bit ambitious, really, but we completed vocals when we got home with the internet and technology. But it was a great experience. I mean, we was in Studio 7, which was George Martin's office. Yeah. And I wangled a little tour of Studio Pink Floyd and Studio Beatle, and it's amazing. Studio 1, most of Hollywood film scores are recorded there. And I walked in, and you talk, and it just echoes forever. And the guy who showed us around, I said, "It sounds like a school sport." And he went, "No, school sports all sounds like this." It was just, you would wonder how you can record anything in there. Just had its own natural. You'll have to excuse me daughter Kira, she's having an episode. Do you want to talk to Jonathan a little while I mute my mic? She's autistic, and she's been getting very vocal since lockdown, because obviously, and this is the case, isn't it, for a lot of mental health and special needs, they're having the routine took away. She's no longer going to a day centre. She's had the carpet snatched from under her feet. I'll tell you what, I've asked Jonathan a few things.
We'll talk about Jonathan. We'll talk about Jonathan's father. We'll see you in a moment. Right, here we go. Jonathan. We mentioned your dad earlier, and you do have some work going on. Let me just see if there's any other questions for you here.
Cartoons? No.
Somebody says this is fab. Somebody's loving
sweet.
it. So here we go. We talked about your dad, and you are working on this project. We'll talk about it in a moment, but I've got that little promo film that you prepared for it.
Yeah, great.
So here we go.
Why don't you tell him to photograph something worthwhile?
What do you say, Tom? I say it's an horse coming up with a canter, Joe. I say horse coming up the gas drum. Gentlemen, in the king's name, both of you.
Well, one thing led to another, and what with rules of taking glass for glass, I couldn't very well give up now, could I? And after that, well, I just don't remember.
I always remember, Orlando, especially when one thing leads to another.
You're no sister of mercy, are you? Where the hell have you been? I'm not quite sure. I had a drink or two. That should narrow it down a bit.
Come on. Oh, my.
Well, be good, my darling.
Have no choice, Frankie.
Yeah, okay. Hey, you'll be keeping in touch then, eh? Yeah, as soon as anything happens. Yeah. Ta-ra for now.
Bye.
Ta-ra there, Frank.
I'm Jonathan Kydd, I'm Sam's son, and I'm going to be talking about my father's unbelievably prolific career whilst delving into his private life through an unpublished autobiography. There it is. A few of his diaries and letters and a mass of home video. And I'm asking the question, who was Sam Kydd?
Oh, those bongos. That was lovely because it captured a lot of your father's film history, and I think anybody, you know, my kind of age who grew up, you saw him in everything. He was in so much, wasn't he?
But he went across the sort of board of doing. He did lots of comedy and he did lots of drama. So and he had this strange thing about he just loved working. So he'd be starring in a Wednesday play or some kind of really high profile TV series, and then somebody would ring up and say, Sam, can you come and do one day on a film? And he'd go and do 2 lines in it. And he'd be quite happy to do that. So you've got these bizarre, there's a film called, I think, Too Many Crooks, where he just plays the tramp who reacts to the body coming out of the coffin and going, oh, and running away, you know, and that's it. It's a day. And in the middle of that, he was in a series. So playing the lead. So I'm personally, I don't think he should ever have done that. But, you know, it was, he was available. But if he had a week off and somebody phoned, he was absolutely vulnerable to that. He'd go, yeah, I'd love it. And so in a sense, it's work, and he enjoyed it immensely. So who am I to criticize? But just, you know, with me thinking about building a career, you think, perhaps that might not have been the best thing to have done. But it just meant that he worked. Well, one of the things I'm trying to redress with this autobiography is that lots of people, something even appeared in an article about him a few years ago, saying the best bit part actor in England. And you go, well, no, he wasn't a bit part actor. He played huge leads in things. He had massive co-starring, guest starring parts. But it was because of this fact that he was ubiquitous, he was everywhere, that somehow it's diluted him as a celebrity and as an actor. And I'm trying to redress that because his book, I'll be honest with you, I found this, and I mean, luckily, I was going to just send it off if I could get a proper copy of it. But the copy I found had been done with very flimsy paper with lots of Tipex alterations. So I thought I'd try to get a PDF of it and make it into a Word document. I thought I'll send it. It was gobbledygook, complete rubbish. I thought, oh, well, I'll type it out. And through typing it out, there were so many dreadful anomalies. I mean, things like he worked with Harry Seacombe, you know, was one of the goons, one of the great comedy actors of the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And he did a whole series. He did a tour with him in Germany, and they were in a very funny sketch. And all he wrote was, did a wonderfully funny sketch with Harry Seacombe. Full stop. And you go, but that father, you know, you got to tell us what the sketch is.
Yes.
And the book is a lot like that. And it never got published. And I kept thinking, well, I'm not surprised it never got published, because it was with a literary agent who tried to get it published. He'd written a book about being a POW about 3 years beforehand that was a big success. Got 40,000 people in paperback bought it, and it's funny, and it's a funny book, and it makes light of the deprivation that they put up with. But it's all about him. He did about 12 different shows. He wrote scripts. He did review. They did characters. It was like a kind of, bizarrely, a kind of drama school. It was like a kind of learning curve in this in prison camp, like trying stuff up, you know. Very true. What Andrea Hill Lair says, bit parts, that there are no small parts, only small actors. Absolutely. But one of the things about him, I agree completely, was if you looked at that in the clip there that I showed you, that's Tale of Two Cities. He's got the blunderbuss and he comes out and says, let's go, you know, who's coming towards us there. He is great in that shot. He is just, he's got a moment, seizes the moment, gets it, huge close up, great face, attitude, has the gun, comes up, and the actor called Walter Brennan he's with walks towards the what's happening. There's a bit more of the scene, obviously, but it's an ability just to be able to, whatever character you're playing, to inject it with something, with a I don't know, there was a sympathetic aspect about him. He's one of us. And that was one of the reasons that he just kept going. You're in the car, Andy. What's happened? Are you off? He's off in the car there. Look.
Can you hear us, Andy?
It's
Andy,
like a studio. This is where I do all my voice, in the car. It's a great studio. Voicey, you get all the things.
Funnily enough, I was told. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you again. I'm sorry. I was told that you could set up a little studio in your car because it was the perfect environment for it. So if you wanted to do voiceovers, get a decent mic, get your laptop. Yeah. There you are in the car, and it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I thought I was just have to do it today when I was recording a monologue. By the way, was your dad in Orlando?
Yes, he was Orlando. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm reliably informed by my wife, who's a Mark Bolan fan, that Mark Bolan was in that talking about small parts as a walk-on.
Wow.
Are you aware of that?
You've reminded me that may have been the case. Wasn't he as Mark Fell? Wasn't he Mark Fell then? Wasn't that his name?
Could have been.
I think, but you've reminded me. But I also think that he was. There was another theory that he was in something else. He was in another show as well, and it may have overtaken that one. Because, I'm having said that, why would I have remembered? Because he wasn't known. So you could be right. You could be right. There's only one episode remaining of Orlando. Everything else has been wiped. That was an era.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they only had 2 channels. They didn't think in terms of any legacy to anything. So and recording was unbelievably expensive. Yeah. So they just recorded all over everything nonstop. That was their that was the way they did it.
If you imagine, really, it went like you were pointing out before. Back then, if you was on television, you were it. I mean, there was like 2 channels, 3 later on in the late 60s, 70s. So there was nowhere for anyone to go. I mean, now people could be on Xboxes, MTV, Netflix, but then there was 3 channels. It's like Patrick Moore at Emmerdale that always tells me anecdotes about when he was in Callum, and people used to go home from the pub to Callum, and he was a huge star. Really, it's just amazing how it would have been then.
Well, if you imagine that 20 million people, 20 million people would have been watching it.
Yeah, staggering.
Yeah.
Andy, now you're back. I want to show you another photo. Here we go. What was that hair?
Now, I wouldn't have been playing a policeman then. Nobody would have cast me as a policeman back then, would they?
Look at that.
Oh, there's my duo partner in crime, Andy Clegg there.
Yeah.
That's his girlfriend of the time, who was the sister of Sadie Frost. Ruth.
And I've got another one of the hair.
Her dad painted John Lennon's Rolls Royce.
It's a small one.
Like
look, I love these band shots. That's so moody.
Yeah, that was supporting New Order at Kentish Town and Country Club back in the late 80s. Colin Smith took that photograph. Always a good eye for photography. That's a building, I think, with mirrors, as if you needed me to tell.
Yeah. I want to just have a quick look at a bit of old video from you here. Let me just try and find it. Here we go. So it's a bit of the sun and the moon. Hang on a minute. I think it's mostly stills, but
What am I doing
Grand stuff.
Hear that XTC influence.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about XTC earlier before we started, and we're all XTC fans. Anybody out there? If you're an XTC fan, let us know. We've got some more comments coming in. Hang on a moment while I get to them. Oh, somebody says, Maureen Cotton says, wow, look at your hair.
Oh, thank you.
Andy, you must hide it under the Andy, hide it under the helmet. Fred Marchie asks, Andy, ask the world to join Emmerdale Past and Present fan site. Thank you. Fred, we've just asked them. It's on Facebook. It's a very good site.
Excellent. Good shout. Good shout. Yeah. They've got thousands and thousands. He's a greedy bugger, is Fred. They've got thousands of followers, that site. It's brilliant. Yeah. It should have even more. It should have even right now.
And Steve Marshall asked another question. Were you and your co-star surprised at the great reaction to the Emmerdale YouTube tunes in lockdown? That was the Wolfpack Live, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. Do you know what? It's had more plays than that band that you've just, 50,000 plays, and that's just little old me. Some of the girls from the show, they've had 200,000 plays. It's
good grief. I've got a snippet of it, Andy. Yeah. We're going to watch a little bit here, and this was live from your.
Oh, but think it's cool.
There we go. Lovely.
Terrific. Great song.
Do you know, I wanted to re-record that because I'd only just learned the song. And have you noticed there, I thought it was going to be there's magic in the air when it is actually magic everywhere. So I go, there's magic everywhere. So I thought, well, people just think I'm a mad country singer or something like that. But I really wanted to record it again. I'd only just learnt it. And the sun goes in your hair. The sunshine fills your hair. There's a couple of lyrics incorrect,
but they were great.
It is what it is.
Exactly. Yes. Phil Ramsden says XTC-tastic. Another XTC fan. And Phil also says, Andy, are you Eddie Fox?
Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. This is a film that a couple of actor buddies of mine, we got together. This is actors making their own film, and there were a lot of sound files lost, so we're not releasing it. We have to, in some of the scenes, we've used the camera mic, so there's wind blowing in the garden, there's wind blowing on them, so because we lost loads of sound files. It gets perfect when we find the sound files, and I edited it. So my next film venture, I've got the professional boys. I think there's a reason they have media schools. Talking about tech, like we were talking about, whereas having to do our own tech.
Yeah.
Go on, Dave. I thought you was.
No, I was saying, you doing your own tech. Exactly.
The next film, I've got Omar, a professional DOP. And I'm actually looking for a sound recordist at the moment. And I'm not going to who, but there's a couple of Emmerdale stars in this film. I'm not allowed to disclose that. It's called Virgin on God, and it's about a voluntary church verger on learning that he gets paid. He actually gets paid for funeral services. He starts setting out on a devilish murder campaign around his local parish community so that he gets an income. Because all vergers are voluntary. They don't get paid, but we get paid for funerals and weddings. Well, there you go. So that's what it should be shooting in October.
Yeah. Oh, fingers crossed on that. We've had a hello, Andy, from Catherine Littlewood. And she also says, I'm disappointed your wife isn't looking for a rat in the bushes behind you tonight, Andy. What's that about?
I'm doing a film for Catherine. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. She'll have to email in about that. But I'm doing a film for Catherine, and it's like a lockdown situation. And I was filming in the conservatory, and Jan, she's the photographer, who's shot on her Nikon SLR. He sets it up for me, you know, presses record, and then proceeds to go in the gardens looking for a rat that we've had recently with a big brush, and she's in the background through the conservatory window, and I'm acting my heart out there, and all of a sudden there's this mad woman with a brush in the background.
Crazy.
I've done
I was going to. Are you guys all right for another 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
We're almost at 9 o'clock. You're just so much to talk about here. I was going to let me just have a look at a couple of news items. What do you make of this? Pubs may need to shut to allow schools to reopen. I just think they shouldn't let the kids into the pubs. I don't know what you think.
There are a couple. Never knew there were so many alcoholic teachers.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy.
It's the alcoholic teachers.
I never knew there were so many alcoholic teachers. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. The Coast Guard is warning.
Sheffield.
It's not too bad. I mean, things haven't got really busy in Sheffield yet, and we haven't gone down into that re-lockdown.
They haven't got you down, have they?
No, we're okay.
Like a giant village.
Yes, exactly.
The rumor at the moment is it's all over 50s are going to have to lock down now. That's the if pubs stay open. Have you heard that? Was in the
really?
I heard it just before we did this. Yeah, and I'm a bit frightened.
As an older dad with an 11-year-old, I feel slightly insulted, as if somehow I'm unbelievably unfit being over 50. You know,
I thought it was the youngsters who were spreading it in pubs. I thought that's what it was happening.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
Andy, we've got another one from Phil Ramsden. Hello, my friend from Buttermere. You, Colin, Andy are due an invite to my new place very soon. There you go.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Phil. Look forward to it.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be great. Phil is an old school friend. I've known him for decades. Yeah.
But you're all right if they do have to reclose the pubs, because you've got your own bar at home, haven't you, Andy? You've got it. Your house is done up like a pub.
Well, it's just a dining room, and we sort of put a bit of a pub slant on it, if you know what I mean. Have you got any pictures?
Yeah, I'm just going back there. Here we go.
I'll carry on talking. It's been we decorated it that way last year, and there you go. It's our little Saddleworth pub, and it's come in so handy during lockdown, because you know we've even had a dance in there, Jan and I. We didn't have a brush.
Do you play pub?
Jeremy Corbyn's the landlord.
There we go. If only he was.
Jeremy Corbyn's the landlord there. Sometimes he lets me have a triple gin, you know.
With a tea bag.
Yeah, I get everything.
There's your pub garden. There we go.
Yeah, there's the pub garden. I'm the landlord, really.
Yeah,
I do my own measures.
And look, the return of indoor shows.
You've got to do it.
Return of indoor shows delayed and masks enforced, which is shocking news for anybody in our profession, isn't it?
Oh, horrendous.
We were talking about the Clinic before, a Liverpool band called the Clinic. Now their gimmick, as it were, is surgical masks, and I wonder if they're still allowed to gig, you know, because they're not going to spit on anybody with a mask on.
Exactly.
I think we should let the Clinic carry on gigging.
So do you think a band called the Socially Distanced would be able to play?
That's what you got to do now. It's just call yourself the Socially Distanced, and you're out there.
Yeah, your dentist are just due for a return.
I need to bring them back now. You're absolutely right. I do. Yeah. Make sure we're wearing all the gear.
Now's the time.
Yeah, now is the time.
On a serious note, I feel really lucky that I'm working in television, because it's the theatre actors that I'm really feeling sorry for, and anyone with venues, like the theatre owners and gig venues, I was mourning for them, you know, as well as the countless lives that we've had on, you know. But businesses like that, cafes, theatre. I mean, you think about it in the theatres in London. It's not just the actors; it's the technicians, the lighting guys. Yeah, it's front of house. Yeah.
I saw a piece saw a piece on the news tonight about the company that provides all the sets and costumes for Panto. And really, they just got the stock back in and were starting to pack everything away. And when lockdown happened, and there it is, this huge warehouse full of props, costumes that should be being, you know, reworked and getting ready to go out. It's just not going to happen, is it?
Yeah. Well, I saw one of the Chuckle brothers on this morning, the other day, and he was saying that he's been doing Panto for 40 odd years, you know, and this year he's not going to be doing it, and it's his important part of his income. You just imagine that.
It's an important part of the theatre's income as well for the rest of the year, because they're pretty guaranteed a very successful period, because the standard of Panto just got absolutely brilliant. I mean, nearly every show is top notch, and they can guarantee a sellout. So it's as you say, it's the knock on to everybody. It's not just the actors. I mean, I think what happened? They were doing a trial run, weren't they, at the Albert Hall recently, and that you get about a quarter of the audience in as well if you socially.
Didn't Lloyd Webber try one at the Palladium?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and you know it's.
They've got to be earning more than 80%. Got to have 80% income coming through till you're into the profit margin.
Yeah,
because it costs so much to put on. So you're not going to cover it with quarter.
Some of them are trying to.
I'm sorry.
To film, to socially distance the rehearsals and then film the rehearsals and then put them behind a paywall. But I'm not convinced that members of the public are that keen, because it's such a difference between live performance and doing something that you can. It's live, but you're seeing it on YouTube. It's almost as if it doesn't fulfill the requirements. You're not getting that experience of the timing of the live performance. It makes you realize how special theatre is actually, and all
absolutely, it's the timing of the performance in front of an audience. So it's amazing how many.
Yeah.
I noticed on the current Emmerdale stuff,
when you're in front of an audience.
Sorry, I noticed on the current Emmerdale stuff, you can tell a lot of it's outdoors now, and you've got that distance. It must feel weird after being in an environment where everybody is so close to have that distance all the time on your person with a stick.
Well, wasn't that brilliant that Dean Andrews and Mark Womack did, though? Because they were socially distancing. They were nowhere near each other, I understand. When we were talking about the BAFTA awards, when Dean, when Will, Biff, Mark, they were nowhere near each other. So maybe social distancing's the way forward for fight scenes. It's all about perspective from the camera.
The camera angles, exactly. Well, just as a quick wrap up, Jonathan, we talked about your documentary. We didn't get into all your voices, but you've done all kinds of voices for everything, haven't you?
I've done, since 1986, I've done about 12,000. And I can't tell you how many I've done, but it went pretty obvious that I wasn't doing wonderfully well as an actor. So, and people just wanted me to do voices. So when the agent phoned and said, you're working tomorrow and you're working the next day and you've got another couple this week, I tended to go, yeah, all right, I'll pursue that then. I think I'll go.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I do film 4 Thursday, 5 o'clock, film 4. That voice, which is another silly voice. I did Channel 5 this week. I'm doing a documentary about World War II. I do cartoons. I say I do. I'm in all the Harry Potter games. I've done 55 games. Peeves the guy. Peter, can I start that? Potter, where are you? Potter, where are you? And my favourite was a Death Eater, which was Potter, put down that wand. I love that line. But yeah, so I get, it's all about making a living in the end. I've been pushed to pillar to post with somebody. It's a bit like my dad. Somebody says there's a job for you. I'll go, oh, okay, I'll do that, rather than rather than going, I must work my career out here, you know.
Yes, exactly.
I've gone for what, if somebody wants me, I'll have a go. I've been fortunate that I've chosen a career where I can play as many different people as possible and get away with it. So
yeah. Your documentary, how is that coming along?
I thought I'd finished the book. I'm doing some sizzles. You know, you're just supposed to put ads for them. I've actually been diverted. I was going to make an hour-long lockdown, and somebody has advised me, they think it's such a good subject that I should make a feature, make an hour and a half long film of it. So I've got to slightly take it more seriously. I was going to get it out with shooting bits of my dad's film on TV, and I've been turned down by lots of people. I was going to make a feature of that by saying, tried to get Jonathan Ross on. He wasn't interested. Tried to get his brother. All of that. And I think I'm still keen to do it in a kind of slightly strange, coming, rather than being like one of those discovering Dirk Bogarde programs where you talk about 10 of his films and interview journalists. I want to come at it from a slightly silly way because he made so many films, my dad. So I think, but I'm going to make a feature of it, and I've been told to emphasize the Irish aspect of it and try and put it on at 2 Irish film festivals, Belfast and Dublin, and see if I can get some Irish actors to talk about him. And I hadn't thought about that. And I think it's absolutely right, because he's a bit of a hero in Ireland, because he's from Belfast. But at the moment, I've almost finished the book. The dilemma I've got is the diaries are much, much more interesting than the Anodyne book, the book that he wrote when he didn't want to offend anybody. He wrote it in 1976. He was nice about everybody. All the letters and the diaries tell completely different stories. And there's a whole series where, when he was doing Orlando, Andy, where he had an enormous row with the controller of Reader Fusion, the company, and was summoned before the board because they said he was interfering in the program, because he was phoning actor mates up and asking them whether they'd like to be in it. And he was saying, I don't like the script, I can write you something else. Nowadays, you being an executive producer, and they'd love you for it. You can say, oh, I can get Penny Keith in this, I can get Michael Gough in this, I can get Clive Dunn in this. He got all of these people in who are his friends to be in a kids series. He got told off.
I get people coming up to me. And go, get me a part in Emmerdale, you know. And I think I'd get myself more time in Emmerdale if I had that sort of clout. You know, it's you leave that to the casting department. You know, that's their job. I just do the acting.
He got told off for interfering with the casting department. That was the problem as well. But that's all in the diaries. That's not in his book. So I'm adding it. And the horror slight problem I've got, it was 250 pages. It's good. He writes funnily, he writes good stuff. But he's ignored most of his career. So I've just put little bits. I've got his accounts. I can follow every film. And I watch the film, talk a little bit about the film, find a bit in the diary, put the bit from the diary in. It's now 700 pages long. There's the problem. I'm going to have to re-edit it. But I've almost finished.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
They want to do Talking Pictures TV, want to do the book launch, because I've talked about him on there. So it's going to, there's legs for that. And then I'll really enter into doing the documentary.
Yeah, lovely. Andy, you've got your film, hopefully October, that you're going to be shooting that, did you say?
Yeah, starting filming in October. Just looking for another couple of locations. I think I need a very understanding vicar. Obviously, I'll have to send him the script. He'll have to have a sense of humour. So, I've got all the other locations.
And we talked about the musical side, and we could have gone more into that, but obviously music is still a passion in your life. You still enjoy playing, obviously.
Love music. Soothe the Soul does music. Of course I do. I love music. I'll not rule out doing some more. I'm busy with acting and filming, but I won't rule out it. I let it come along naturally. You don't force it. You know, I'm a bit like Scott Walker, if I can bull myself up. A good writer, but not terribly prolific. You know, he brought an album out every 10 years or something like that, didn't he? So I mean, the last album I did was 2014. But I did one 2 years prior to that. But they wrote themselves, and it's like this script that I'm about to shoot. It wrote itself. You know, I'm a big believer in not contriving things. You know, don't force it. Let the inspiration flow. So, I'm hoping for for good things.
And a final comment from the night. Thanks to Dave, Andy, and Jonathan for a great, insightful session tonight. That's from Steve Marshall.
Thank you, Steve.
It has been lovely talking to you, gentlemen, and it has been an absolute treat. All I can say is stay safe, get a drink while you can. In fact, I'm going to open my can now.
You're a professional.
Before they close the pubs again to let the children go back to school, I'm trying for sponsorship from Brewdog, but they haven't gone for it as yet. But anyway, there we go. Have a wonderful time. Good luck with all the projects. It's been an honor and a privilege. Let's get some applause. Come on.
Yeah. Well, we can join in, can't we?
We want more applause.
More applause.
There you go. There's the applause.
Oh, no.
Some cheering crowd.
No, I don't deserve it.
My guest this evening.
Thank you. Oh.
Andy Whitaker.
Oh.
Jonathan Kydd.
Oh.
Honor and a privilege. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Let's go to closing titles. Where is it? Closing titles. I'm trying to find closing titles. Here we go.